This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Yod, and we pick it up on the top of Yod Amid Aleph. We are 3 lines down. Tanya Haya Rameir Oimer, continuing the discussion of tzedakah. Some of the most famous Gemaras regarding tzedakah we're going to see in these daf. Says Rameir Yesh Lebal Din. 1 second. There we go. Says Rameir Yishal Baldin La Shivcha V'Leimer Lacham. A Baldin, literally a litigant, one in a court case, but we'll see what this means, can respond to you and tell you, if your God loves the poor, or if your God loves the poor, why does Hashem have so many aniyim? Why doesn't he support them? You should tell him, it's for us. It's so that we could be saved by giving them tzedakah. We'll be saved from Gehenim. An important attitude, how to relate to tzedakah. And this was the shayla that Turnus Rufus asked Rav Akiva, why doesn't Hashem support them? So that we can be saved from Gehenim. The attitude of tzedakah, that it's not for the ani, it's for he who is giving. So Amar Lei, Turnus Rufus responded, Adrabah, seemingly giving tzedakah is that which brings you to Gehenim. What does that mean? Says Turnus Rufus, I'll tell you what this is comparable to. Lemelech Basra v'dam, to a king of flesh and blood. Shekoyis alavdai. He got angry on his servant. And he throws him in jail. And he commands his people not to feed him. Not to give the drink. And one guy goes and he violates the words of the king. And he gives this guy what to drink and eat. When the king hears, the king not going to be angry at this guy who gave him food. And you Yidden, you Jews, are called servants. So ask Turnus Rufus, you're telling me it saved you from Gehenim. The opposite, it puts you into Gehenim. Hashem wants this guy to be poor and you're giving him, you're violating the words of the king. Amrle Rav Akiva responds, this is comparable to L'melech Basra v'dam shekoyis al benoi. Gets angry on his son, the Chavach V'Sasur, he throws it in jail, says don't feed him and don't give him to drink or water. And one guy goes and gives him to eat, and gives him to drink. When the king hears that you helped his own child, would he not give him presents? Of course he would. Amar Loi, Turnus Rufus says, you're called children, you're called slaves. Bizman shatem osin retzeni shal makam atigriim banim. Bizman sheina toisin retzeni shal makam. Then atakriim avanim. V'achshav, and now eina tamoisin retzeni shal makam. You're now not doing the will of God. Why? Because Hashem has given you over to the Romans. So clearly you're not following the will of Hashem, says Turnus Rufus. Amar Loi, responds Rabbi Akiva, Harehu Oimer, it says, Aloi paros l'rov lachmecham, v'aniyah merutim, tavi bayis. You'll break bread for the hungry and the poor will bring to the house. They must have aniyah merutim, tavi bayis, ha'inra. Now we have to pay to the Romans, and therefore the pasuk says, you'll break bread for the hungry. So what does the pasuk teach us? That Hashem wants to give us tzedakah even when He has thrown us into the hands of the Romans thrown us to the Goyim. That is the famous story of Rav Akiva and Turnus Rufus, and our attitude that has to be with tzedakah that we're giving to the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Darash Rav Yehuda Barabi, Darash Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shalom. That was his name, the Rabbi Shalom. Geshem, and the last medium-sized line. Just like Hashem gives us our parnasa, so to that which we're going to lose. Zacha halah. If one is zaycha, if one is zaycha, loy paros l'rav lachmacha. That you know what his loss is, you know where his money goes to. It goes to the poor. Loy zacha v'aniyim rudin tavi bayis. If he's not zaycha, then the government takes the money and the poor bring it to your house. Ki ha devnei achtei Rav Yechon ben Zakkai. Like the children, the daughter of my sister, the nephews of Yechon ben Zakkai, Chazal bechelma. They saw in a dream that they're going to have to lose 700 dinar. Asinu shayka minayo litzdaka. So what do? Rav Yechon convinced them to give the money. Shalka minayo. Rav Yechon took it from them to tzedakah. Paish kabayu, and they were left by them. Shivsar dinri. Just 17 dinarim out of the 700 dinarim. Kimatam aliyom to Kippur when Erev Yom Kippur came. Shader devei Caesar naktenu. The Caesar came and confiscated those 17 dinarim. Amar loy Rav Yechon ben Zakkai. Rav Yechon ben Zakkai told the nephews, loy titchalon, don't be afraid. Shifsar dinari gabaychu shaklinu minaychu. They took from you 17 dinarim. Now that's it. They're not going to take anything more. Amri le min ayadis. Say, Rav Yechon ben Zakkai, how do you know? How do you know that they took these 17 and they're not going to take anything else? Amr lehu, he responded, Chamla chazay lechu, I saw a dream. Amr le, if you saw a dream, why didn't you tell us the dream? And then we would have given all the money to tzedakah. If you saw in a dream that we're going to lose so much money, so why didn't you tell us that we only gave 683 and then 17 went to the Romans? Amr lehu responds Yechon ben Zakkai. On the fifth very wide line, Amina, I thought I wanted you to do the mitzvah lishma for the right reasons. Continues the Gemara, Papa, have a salik bidargam. Papa was climbing a ladder. Ishtamit kare, and the leg of the ladder slipped. And Rav Papa was about to fall off the ladder. Amar Hashtakein. Says Rav Papa, if such a thing happened, it must be someone who hates me is chayiv, meaning referring to himself. So he didn't understand. What do you do wrong? You obviously wasn't Mechal Shabbos, he wasn't Avidav Zara. Amar lech, Chia Barami, Difti the Rababa, Sheme, Ani, Bali, Adcha, V'lai Barnesasai. Maybe an ani came to you and you didn't support him. Did Tani Rishub and Karcha, Imer, teacher of Rishub and Karcha, call Hamalim, 10 lines down. The first one line is Hamalim in the very well lines. Eina mitzedaki lo Avidav Tzchavim. Ksev Alcha, Yishav L'chamen Yedvarcha, Dvarim Levavcha, B'li Al. Ksev Asa, Miyotzan Hashem Neim, the Hamalim of Tzchavim, Avkan of Tzchavim. So maybe that's the reason, because you didn't give some money to the tzedakah, and that is how the story ends. Tanya realized Rav Yossi called tzedakah v'chesed she'yisrael ha'yisim ba'olam hazeh. All the tzedakah chesed that Klal Yisrael does in this world, shalom gadol praklitin gedolim bein Yisrael avim shalayim, create peace, shalom, and create an incredible angels praklitin gedolim between Klal Yisrael and their Father in heaven, Avin Shvashayim Shenemar, as the pasuk says, "Come Hashem al tavu beis Mizrach." So says Hashem, do not enter into the house of mourning. V'altilch lisbo v'altanu lehem. Why? Ki asafti as shalomi meisam hazeh. The Gaimer teaches Hashem because they gathered in my peace from this nation as a chesed v'sarachmim, and explains the Gemara chesed zu gbilas chasadim, rachamim zu tzedakah. Tanya, we learned in a brayso, Rav Yehuda Omer, Kedai tzedakah, Hashem Karev says the gula. Tzedakah brings the gula. Shenemar Komar Hashem Shimu Mishra Basu Tzedakah Ki Kareva Yeshuasi love of Zikasi Ligalos. Hu Omer continues the Gemara. Rav Yehuda would say, Asara Devarim Kasha. Never by Hashem created 10 difficult things in the world. Har Kasha not difficult, but a hard kasha, a mountain is strong. Barzeh mechatzchai, but a barzel, an iron, could break it. Barzel kasha. Shem created a strong iron, but ar mifafai, but a light could soften it. Ar kashem, mayim achavin water puts it down. Mayim kashim, of him, saivlin aisai, but clouds could hold the water. Of him kashim, clouds are strong. Baruch mifazrasam, wind spreads them out. Kashe gufs ruach mifazrasan. Ruach kashe, wind is strong. Guf savle, but the body could endure it. Guf kashe, the body is strong. Pachad shavrai. But pachad, fear breaks the body. Pachad kasha, yain mafigoy. Wine gets rid of the fear. Yain kasha, shina mifachasa, going to sleep. Umisa kasha mikulamem, death is the worst of all of them. And yet, after this whole incredible list, then the iron and the fire and the water and the pachad and the yain, ksnaka matzeles min amisa dechsev ustaka tatzel mi maves. Darish of the Sober Rav Yani. About 10 lines down, the first one line is Shalai. Shalai ki midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu midas basar vidam. Midas basar vidam adam mevi dairin gadol lemelech. You bring a gift to the king, something mekavlin Isayimenu. You're not truffle, take something in mekavlin Isayimenu. Vim tim say mekavlin Isayimenu. Even if he's going to take it, something rabbanei melech, something in rabbanei melech. You don't know if you actually be able to see the king. VaKadosh Baruch Hu eino king. Adam noise brutalani, give one little brutalani zeicha v'kabel yishidush chanemar ani b'tzedek echazeh panecha ashava b'haketz timunascha. Rav Elazar yah brutalani v'ader matzir b'yana. Rav Elazar would give money to the ani, and then he would daven Omer t'chsev ani b'tzedek echazeh panecha. And Rav Elazar wanted to see the face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My esba b'haketz timunascha. What does the pasuk mean? That awakening, I'll be satiated by your tmuna, by your image. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak Talmidei Chachamim sheminadidin shina meineim. They prevent, they banish literally sleep from their eyes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu masbiin, allow them to be satiated from none other than the ziv hashchina, the radiance of the shechina l'elam haba. Amar Rav Yechon Amay Dilsei Malav Hashem Chaynin Dal El Mali Merker Kazi Av Shalaymer Kiviyachal Eved Leived Lishmalve. Sounds almost like the Eved, like Hashem has been shabbat to the ani. Amar Rav Chiv Rav Rav Yechon Rami Ksiv Lo Yoelain Biyam Avra Staka Datzal Mimaves. That Staka charity saves from death. Uksiv 3 lines to the bottom. Lo Yoelaitis is Rosh of Tzedik Datzal Mimaves. So Shtei Stakas Halalu Lama. Achad Shem Yisrael Mesilas Mishuna. One saves from an evil death. Achad Shem Yisrael Medina Shal Gehenim. He says the Gemara Shem Yisrael Medina Shal Gehenim. What is this sucker that saves from the Gehenim on the last line? Now, Dechsev Ba Evra. That which it says by Yid Evra, anger. Dechsev Yom Avra Ayom Ahu. Vezi Shem Yisrael Misa Mishuna. As we turn over to Yoda Midbeis, what saves from painful death? No sanes. Veni Yodea Lemi Nasna. Nala. Veni Yodea Mimi Nala. Explains the Gemara. No sanes. Someone who gives stuck Veni Yodea Lemi Nas, you don't know you're giving it to. La Fukim Midrav Okvad. No tell Veni Yodea Mimi Nala. La Fukim Midrav Abba. It comes to exclude what Rav Abba did. So says the Gemara, then what should he do? What's the best way that neither the taker nor the receiver is going to know? What you should do is you should donate to the community tzedakah fund, and in that way, no one knows. The seller doesn't know because he doesn't know who's getting it. The giver doesn't know; he doesn't know who's getting it. The recipient doesn't know because he doesn't know who gave it to him. It says the Gemara that is a high level of tzedakah. Continues the Gemara 6 lines down. Meisvei. Ask the Gemara, what you want to do and have male children? Rav Elazar Omer, Yefazer Moisani, Yem Rav Shua Omer, Yisamich Ishtoi, Lidvar Mitzvah, make his wife happy. Rav Elazar ben Yaakov Omer, Lo Yitin Adam Bruta Larniki Shal Tzedakah. You should not give a Bruta to the Larniki of Tzedakah. Elim Kain, Memuna Alek Rav Chananya ben Tradian. Unless someone as good as Chananya ben Tradian is appointed on top of it. So ask the Gemara, it sounds like not every community tzedakah is that trustworthy. So why do we just say a moment ago that that's the right avenue to go to give tzedakah? Says the Gemara, when did we say you should give to the community tzedakah? When? The one in charge is like Rav Chananya ben Tradian. Amar Rav Avuah, 13 lines down, the first one line is Amar Rav. Amar Moshe HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom b'matarim currently Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu With what is the strength of Klal Yisrael exalted? Amar Eloi, expands Hashem b'chisisa. When He raised them up, when He collects tzedakah, they are elevated above the people. Amar Avu Shalu et Shloimei ben David. Shloimei ben David asked, "Adechan koicha shel tzedakah? How strong is the strength of tzedakah?" Amar lehem, responded Shloimei, Tzuru, go out and see. These are the people that asked Shloimei. And he responded, Tzuru, go out and see. Ma pirish David Abba. What David, my father, explained. Pizer nasan levyoinim. Seikasai oimedes lad. And the tzedakah will stand and endure forever. Karnoi tarum bechavod. The strength will be exalted with honor. So one who gives tzedakah will have honor for all eternity. Rav Abba Amar, 3 lines from the medium-sized lines. Mehacha, another ayah. Ho meraimam yishkain. He will be meraimam, he who dwells mitzadai salayim. Mishkavai lachmai nasan meimav ne'amanim. Ma'ata meraimim yishkain mitzadai salayim. What's the reason why he's exalted from the mitzadai salayim? The reason is mishegavu, because misgaboy. That's the Mesidai Salayim, the fortress of Rak, should be his protection. Misham, the reason being the Lachmai Nasan Umeimav Ne'amanim, because he gives bread to the poor, he gives water to the poor, and that's the reason why he's listed amongst such greatness. Continues the Gemara in the first medium-sized line. Ezehu ben Olam Abba Omer lehem kol shekeneged zekinov kavod. Anyone who's honored for being a chacham in his old age. However, someone being honored for his wealth is not. Ki Adar Yosef Bereider of Yeshua Chalash Inged. He felt bad and he fell into a coma. Omer le'avua my chazis. What do you see in the next world? Amar le, the famous words. Oilam hafich raisi. I see an upside down world. Al yoinim lemata. Those who are on top of this world are lemata in the next world. V'tachtainim lemala. The one in the bottom of this world are on top of the next world. Amar le, he responded, Oilam baru raisi. You see a clear world. Vanan echad chazitinan. And now we Talmid Chacham, how do we look in the next world? Amar le kechid chashvina nachal, like you're over here chashvina asam. Shamati sheyomin, I hear that they're saying Ashrei mi, praiseworthy is Isha Balikan. V'talmudai biyadav. Shamati, and hear them saying sheyomin haragim malchus ein koberi yachol namen b'chitzasa. One who's killed by the government goes to the highest places, and no one can go within his mechitza. Man ninu ilim Rav Akiva chaver mishav haragim malchus asu lo. Just because Rav Akiva was killed, that was so greatness. What about the fact that he was Rav Akiva? Pshita b'lavachi nami ala ruge lod. Those who were killed in the city of Lod, and therefore, because they were killed like Shem Shemayim, therefore they ascended such incredible places. Continues the Gemara, 10 lines from the very wide lines. The first line is Blav Hachi Tan Yomlam Yochanan and Zakai Lital Midav Bini Ma'u Sha'amar Akasif. My son, my children, what is the meaning of the pasuk that says Tzedakah Tereimim Goy v'Chesed Lu'umim Chatos? What is the meaning of the pasuk that says that tzedakah makes the nation exalted and the kindness of the nation is an aveira? What's going on over here? The chesed is an aveira, and what's nation and nations? Nene Rav Eliezer v'Amar tzedakah Tereimim the Goy Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is exalted. Dersev u'mikamcha Yisrael Goyechad ba'aretz. V'chesed lu'umim chatos called tzedakah v'chesed she'umais akom oisin. All the tzedakah chesed that the goyim go cheitu lehem is an avira for them. Sheino oisin l'skadol boy. Why do they give tzedakah to be glorified by it? K'mashenemar dai lohavin me'akarvin nechuchen le'lokei shemaya. As the pasuk says, it says, Machamol, Di Lahoin Ma'akravin, so that the pasuk in Ezra, that they may offer the Ma'akravin Yichaychem pleasing karbanos le'loika to the God Shemai in heaven, U'matzil Chayim Malka Lebnai, and pray for the lives of the king of the sons. Because it's being done for ulterior motives, that's why it's considered an Aveira. U'metzalin on L'chayim Malka Obnai. Udavid Achi, Lav Staka. Gemara says, 1 second, what? They're giving Staka and they're davening that someone should be well. Is that Lav Staka Gemara? 3 lines in the white lines, they're telling them to the rice. So my child should live. So it's a good thing or a bad thing? Says the Gemara, like Kasha can be Yisrael, can ba'akum. One is by the Yidin and one is by the Goyim. We look at Rashi about 10 lines from the end of the Amid. Rashi says, Yisrael daitin l'shamayim. Ben yicha, ben lo yicha, whether the child will live or not, a Yid wants to give this tzedakah. And therefore, midas adin, he's never going to ask kasha than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Aval ka'akum agoyim noisel ha'almanas kein v'imlav yischaretz, he's mischaretz for giving the tzedakah. Continues the Gemara on the last medium-sized line. Then Rabbi Yeshua v'amar a different shot. Tzedakah treimim goy is hu mili yisod l'chsivim kam chayisol. Koyechad. V'chesed l'umin chadas kol tzedakah v'chesed she'umas akum oisin chay tulahem she'in oisin el k'nei she'timshach malchusan. The first shot was that they want to be glorified. But the second shot is they want to make their malchus longer. Shneimar lehin malka yishbar olecha v'chatoich b'tzedakah. Paroik v'anvasach b'michan anyon hein to have a arka l'shluchas v'goymer. As the pasuk says, the pasuk in Daniel, again in Aramaic, that the king let the advice be listened to you, redeem with tzedakah, and give away to the poor, and then your kingdom will live. So Nebuchadnezzar, why did he give tzedakah? Only to prolong his malchus. And then Rav Gamliel on the third very well line, and he says, tzedakah treimim goy ilu Yisrael, is an aver for them. She knows an elis yaher. Boy, why do they do it? They do it to glorify themselves with it. Again, the first shot was slightly different. The first shot was liskadel boy. Again, I read liskadel become great. It means more precisely the first shot was to live longer. This third shot is to be glorified by it. Anyone that's glorified through tzedakah goes to Gehenim. Shenamar Zayd Yoyer Leid Shemai Oiseh Ba'avara Zoda in Vinavera Ella Gehenim. A proud and mighty man, scoffer is his name. He's angry with pride and he goes to Gehenim. Shemar Yom Evra Hayoim Ahu. Over Rav Gamliel Adayin Eini Anu Tzrichen LeMoidai. Says Rav Gamliel, we still need the Tavachacham from Moidai. Rav Eliezer HaMoidai Yomer, know what he says. Tzedakah treimim goy l'Yisrael l'chsivim kam chayisol goy echad ba'aretz v'chesed l'umim chatos kol tzedakah v'chesed she'akom oisid chaytu lehem. Why? She'nois ela l'charef itanu bam. Because why do they do it? They do it just to mock at us. Shenemar v'yova v'yas Hashem k'shedibar ki chatosam la'Hashem v'lo yishamatem v'koyloi v'ylechem hadavar hazeh. Nena Rav Nechunya ben Akana v'Omer Tzedakah treimim goy chesed Yisrael l'umim v'chatos Amar lehem Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai Leitam. Again, so excuse me, I just blew through that pshat. Excuse me. Tzedakah treimim goy chesed is the Yisrael l'umim v'chatos. That is for the goyim. Amar lehem Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai l'midav nerin direi. 1 second. Nerin divrei. Where's the words? There it is. Rav Nechunya ben Akam divrei midvarayim divreichem lefi shehu noisei tzedakah v'chesed liYisrael ula'akim chatos b'chlal dunami amar mahi detani amar them Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai kishem shechatos mekaberes al Yisrael kach tzedakah mekaberes ha'ulam ha'olam. So the final pshat that he likes, his pshat is that just like the chatos, the carbon is for the yin, kach tzedakah mekaberes ha'ulam ha'olam. And therefore, the word chatas doesn't mean avira; it means a carbon. That the goyim are acts of kindness and tzedakah. It's like a chatas for them; it's an atonement for them, both being in the positive note. We'll stop over here. We'll pick it up from Hormaz Ifra Homraz B'Siyata Dishmaya.